Hey, good morning. Welcome back to the chess channel. This is John, and I will be going over a game that I was just playing this morning. My opponent ended up resigning his position, and the reason I'm going to post this video is to give a demonstration to the beginners of what not to do. And the reason if you looked at the opening principle video, I put it in the description. Do not bring your queen out too early. I understand if he's using the Sicilian defense, French variation, where the queen does take her command post on the C file, C7, in lieu of the dark square bishop. However, it just didn't work out well for black. And now let's get into the game. Okay, so the opening that I used in this game was E4 opening. I was actually setting up to run the Ruy Lopez, and I was going to do a video on the Ruy Lopez, and you will see some grandmasters. Typically, when you play E4, higher level players will typically play the Sicilian or a variation of the Sicilian, whether it be closed, open, or an older variation of the Sicilian. But this particular opponent played the French variation. So that's signified by the first, the natural Sicilian opening, and then the second move is going to be playing the E6 pawn, and it's similar to the French defense, and that's what makes it the French variation. Just a side note. Okay, so I immediately pin the pawn located on D7, and there's the queen. She comes out to C7, and then I support the bishop by playing my pawn to A4. He attacks, I retreat, he brings the knight out, and then I support. I didn't support. I actually wanted to remove that pawn. I wanted him to capture that pawn so we can trade off the knights. He didn't want to trade off the knights. I took his knight anyway. Now I bring up the pawn to support the bishop. Of course, he'll get a check, but I just simply develop my pieces. So one thing that I want to go over before going any further in this video, whenever you have an opponent that is attacking using the queen as the primary attacker, develop your minor pieces. I can't stress this enough, because if you allow them to continuously attack you with the queen, then what's going to happen is you're going to get smothered by the queen and end up getting checkmated if you have all your pieces blocking you in. So a bad move would have been a bad move, in my opinion, because now you have here, and sure, you can either bring the bishop back, but you've lost your right to castle. Now you're going to lose a bishop. If you bring the knight out, you could possibly lose the bishop. And right now the queen is setting. Right now this opponent would be setting you up to try and checkmate you here in the corner, and it would just be really bad. Okay. So let's get back to the position where we're at. Okay. So now she comes down, takes. I move over. She takes again. Now I bring my other minor piece out. She lines up there. I bring my queen out. And look at there. This is the part. Queen E6. This is what happens when you bring your queen out too early. This is one of the things. If you develop your minor pieces, which is your knights and your bishops, into their optimal places, meaning You develop the dark square bishop to where it's covering multiple diagonals. My dark square bishop is covering a diagonal that um, goes from the C all the way to C6 to H6, and it's also covering from G all the way over to A7. My light square bishop is covering the diagonals from along with my queen, supported by my queen and a pawn. It's covering the short diagonals, which is one is eyeing down the Achilles heel of the king, and the other is along the F over, all the way over to attacking the pawn that's located on F8. So the queen, she didn't have a whole lot of choices, so she moved too quickly, and you end up losing your queen a lot of times from this position. So the queen is snapped off. Now I put my queen in the center of the board, and I take that pawn, threaten the knight, and he can't really do anything. What can he do? I took the knight because I didn't want to leave the position where the queen was. I want to take that. And at this point, my opponent resigns. Why? A couple of reasons why. One, I never lost my right to castle, so I could easily castle and bring the rook into the game. But the main reason is because my move check. Maybe he blocks with the bishop, and then he loses his other rook. He threatens, and I would take with the rook. And because I'm winning, I would just take the bishop. Takes back. Take this pawn. Take this pawn. Hit take. And then right here. And right here. Right here, and he'd probably go somewhere like this, and then that's checkmate. So that's why he resigned. There was no need to continue the game from that point. So just take notes from the video. Do not bring your queen out too early. There are openings where the queen is the primary attacker. However, if you're not at that level, or you don't play that opening enough to where you've seen the different ways you can be harassed, because there's different ways you can harass when someone brings their queen out. I mean, the queen is going up against an entire army. So develop your minor pieces while attacking and chasing the queen off, and then castle your king. Once you do that, you're either going to take the queen, trap the queen, or because the person who's using the queen only, they're not developing. So if they're not developing, then their king, one, is staying in the center of the board too long. Two, their pieces aren't developed, so they're boxed in, and you're developing and attacking the queen. So you just gave them multiple tasks. You have to they have to save their queen. They have to try and start developing now. They're behind in development, and they have to get the king castle. And all this time that you are steadily moving your pawns, putting them in good places, placing your officers where they need to go, castling your king, and you just have a much better, greater advantage than that. Now I will show you later on. I will make another video showing you some of the advantages of playing with an attacking queen once you're at that level. And those players, they actually do develop. They don't attack much. They just harass you a little bit with the queen, but they make you respond. And while every move is designed for them to win a piece. and eventually they want to get you into an end game where they have the greater advantage, and that's the whole strategy. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Click like, subscribe, drop me a comment. You have a good day.